Today we are excited to share about how you can drastically improve your business by little micro changes, and we're going to talk about what specifically a 0.5% does. But I'll tell you, it's a little bit nerve-wracking. I'm not really worried about you guys as much, but this guy judging my business is a little bit intimidating. One of the best coaches in the business, Mike Schumm. We're gonna go into our business, open up the funnel. I know you guys have been hearing a lot about data, and I'm like, oh man, we're talking about data. Like, I realize that data can just drain you. It can be like, oh my goodness. But I don't care if you are a solo agent, if you're running a smaller team, if you're running a big team, the earlier you can get control and understand your data, the better. And we're excited to share this with you. So before we get into that, I just want to real quickly thank these guys for just giving the opportunity here. This is really humbling, amazing experience. Just being on the inside of Ylopo, just peeking behind the door a little bit, I can tell you that they obsess over your success. Like they are just obsessed about it. And every single day they're thinking about how can I solve these people's problems. So the fact that you're here, you're digging into and leaning into that, the work that they're doing. So congrats to you guys for coming and making this effort here. So I want to share a little bit of a background on who I am. So I got into the real estate business because I was a recovering homeschool nerd and a part-time youth pastor. And being a part-time youth pastor, you don't make much money. I don't know if you guys know that, especially at a little church. And so my wife, the amazing woman she is, had to go and work the night shift as a nurse. We had a child, and she was pregnant, and I'm going playing kickball with teenagers, and she's going, see, honey, see you at 7 a.m. And so I was like, I got to step my game up. So I got to get into real estate. And so I got into real estate, never imagined it would become what it is today. Fast forward a few years later, we started a firm with about 15 agents, grew it pretty quickly. Today we have about 110 people in our organization. And in 2020, end of 2020, I was introduced to a very ugly beta version of Maverick, and it was just like real fancy spreadsheets, and introduced to data, and introduced to the idea of analyzing and understanding and making decisions on it. And so, and I truly believe, really believe that when the market changed, because at that time, you guys, who was selling real estate in 2020 through 2022? Okay, money was just flying in. You're just selling houses, the first one to, and things were working, and it was covering a lot of problems. But because I analyzed the data, I was able to sustain in August of 2022 when rates went crazy high. So I'm going to prepare you guys hopefully for that in this, and we're going to go. Hopefully I'm hitting the right button. Okay, profit is not the purpose of your business, but without profits, your business cannot fulfill its purpose. Right? This coming from a ministry background, I was talking to Mike about this earlier. I struggled a little bit with guilt on like profits, and when I started to see the money that I was making, I don't know if anybody else like struggled with that. I'm like, oh, is this right? Like, I'm really capitalizing on this, but I struggled with it. But then I came to this conclusion that ultimately, if I'm going to fulfill a purpose, and our purpose with our company is to empower real estate professionals to become who they were created to be. So it's bigger. You notice it doesn't say anything about houses, right? But empower real estate professionals to who they're created to be. But if I'm going to do that, I have to have profits.
Without a doubt. So I've read hundreds of P&Ls just over the last years, guys, and there's a lot of nonprofits out there right now. They're charity organizations because they're not making money because they don't analyze or know their numbers well enough. So that's the whole reason for this talk, is to share with you some of the most important numbers and how just very small incremental changes in getting those numbers a little better can literally lead to hundreds of thousands of dollars of profit. That's what we want to share with you today, because there are a lot of struggling teams, brokers, and agents out there that are not using this. But let me share one thing, because I was really surprised, as I'm always researching, I'm always trying to help these teams become more profitable, or solo agents more profitable. And I've learned with technology, a lot of you all go out and buy the technology, and you think it's a silver bullet. But it's not. These tools are very complex, and you first need to learn how to use them, and then as they're updating them. So like the teams I coach, they're with their CS rep at least once a month, analyzing how they're using the machine, because without adoption, this technology will not make you any more money on there. Mm-hmm. So the first is you got to learn how to use the software and stay on top of it, and then all the stuff we're going to tell you will work. But it's not you cut a check today and you get the product, and you're like, hey, I've solved that, what's next? So I see that mistake a lot, actually.
Yeah, I think everybody wants the one-click thing that just does it all. Like, it's becoming better and easier, but you still have to do the work. All right, what can a 0.5% improvement do for your business? This is going to be a case study, and we're going to go through my funnel with one particular lead source, a pay-per-click lead source, and we're going to show you if I could do a 0.5% more, what it would look like, and I believe you can see what it would look like in your business. So the goal is to help you get excited about data. I know that, man, it's a tough subject to get excited about, but again, you got to go back to your purpose. Why are you doing this? Are you doing it to fulfill your own individual purposes, provide for you and your family, give them the life that they never had? Whatever it might be, you need profit. Like the money left over at the end needs to be greater than the money that you spent that month, right, in your expenses. So get you excited about it. We're going to dig into it. So this is the pipeline case study. There are 6 parts of this funnel, right? I think everybody should know in your business where you stand in every lead source in each of these parts of the funnel. So leads generated, leads spoken to, appointments set, appointments held, deals ratified, and deals closed. And just some basic metrics here. These are pay-per-click leads. Cost per lead is $15, a 2-year history. We had a 0.87% conversion, so just under 1%, but that's in that time frame. So if we pause the lead flow, that would go up over time because it takes about 200 days on average to convert one of these leads. $6,700 company dollar. So we run a team-rich kind of company. Half our agents are receiving leads. So I'm just looking at not the gross. I want to know what I'm getting after splits. Then $650,000 company dollar income from that. I don't know if you have anything to add.
Yeah, I definitely want to add here because we did a mastermind in Vegas not that long ago, and I thought I mentioned something that everyone in the room knew, and me and Howard kind of locked eyes like, oh, that's something they all need to know, but they didn't, so I'm going to repeat it here. After lead generation, leads spoken to and appointments set are leading indicators. We can control those things, and to Bill Pipes' point at the beginning, this is where you want to focus first, because the bigger those top numbers are, the more likelihood your bottom number will be bigger. So always start and obsess at the very top. How many people are we speaking to? Like they did that little exercise with the ISAs, right? I would guess the guy who's calling hundreds of people every week is doing a lot more on the bottom than someone who's calling 5 or 10 people out of their database. And the other part is we can control that. You can't control how many closings you get today, but we can control how many people we talk to or how many appointments we're going to set before we call it a day. So right there is where I make sure we start, because those leading indicators are uber important. Every team I coach, that's what we focus on and get those top numbers as big, as fat as possible.
Yep, and you got to know your numbers in order to be able to move them. So, all right, so this is our current state versus the target in this case study. So currently 0.87% PPC leads closed. What if, just ask the question, what if I can increase it by 0.5%? So many times we think to grow our business, we got to do these big things, but it's the micro adjustments. We've probably heard tiny hinges swing big doors. So we're going to look into that and how we actually do it. So the first stage, not going to get into this. This is not a lead generation talk. If you need more leads, and that might be your problem, you might need more leads, there's a booth right back there. Talk to Ylopo. They will get you leads. That is not what we're going to talk about. What do you do when you get the leads? The first part we're going to really focus on is leads spoken to. And I'm going to break down how we use Maverick. The screen is kind of small, so you're not going to see a lot of this stuff. We run an inside sales model. So I just found that we found success when we can teach somebody to be very specifically good at the job of unmet clients. Now, if you are a solo agent, you run a smaller team, you are this, right? You are this part of it. But the first thing I want to know is, are they making an effort? And there are people on this leaderboard. There's one in here right now, Melissa Jones. She's somewhere in here. But she's our director of inside sales. Oh, she's videotaping me. Thank you. So she's on here. But I want to know, are they making the calls? Are they making the effort? Are they making the texts? Are they making the reach outs? And it shows me on a daily basis on the ISA manager report. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, we can keep going.
Yep. All right, so next one really we focus on a lot is appointment set. Obviously, we incentivize our inside sales on appointments set and met, actually. They have to be met. And so how do we correct this? How do we measure it, and how do we improve it? So you guys have heard a lot about MaverickRE. I don't want to, this is not a pitch for it, but this is what we use. If you got a better way to do it, go for it. I don't know any better way in the industry to measure a lot of these things, but we measure the appointment set very quickly without a lot of calling the agents, hey, did you meet this person? How many appointments? Plug it into spreadsheets. It's all there because it's aggregated to one place. And we're setting more appointments by building the skill set, right? And so we're building skills through the AI, role play, and script practicing.
Yeah, let me comment here. Yeah. As a business owner, whether a solo agent, team lead, or broker owner of some sort, I believe one of the most important things you have to do in your company is to mitigate risk. I believe deploying capital, spending money, and not getting a return on it is one of the riskiest things you could possibly do. So I got invited to go to a mastermind just before the event started with 30 of the teams in this organization that are doing the best. And it's just an observation. They went around the room, Gabe asked everyone, out of all the products and things we do, which is the one thing that's helping you most or that you have really helped to get this team more profitable? And it was the AI role play. Because I realized why. With the teams I coach that have this product, we will not give an agent a lead until they can score an 8 at least 3 times in a row, telling us they know what to do and they know how to set an appointment, they know how to handle an objection before we start just handing them out very expensive leads on there. So if you're not using that, most of the most successful people in this room are saying that tool is the one thing in the last year or so that's helped them the most. I would go get it.
Yep. It's amazing. We use it in the same way. Before agents can even call live leads in the pond, they have to get a certain score. And so here's a couple examples. This is just fun stuff I pulled from one of the calls from one of our ISAs, actually. So this is the kind of feedback that the sales coach would give you. This is just a very small snippet of a lot of information on the page. I didn't want to overwhelm you guys, but this is kind of the feedback you get. So elicit additional details by asking open-ended questions. It's judging one of the calls, right? Again, if you don't have ISAs, this is you, if you are the agent, but this is from one of our ISAs. When Aisha mentioned her goddaughter visiting occasionally, Evelyn could have inquired about any specific needs related to her goddaughter. So I think it's really interesting. One of the most common feedbacks we get from the AI sales coach is more empathy. And I'm like, robots are telling us to be empathetic. Like, that's a scary thing that we're going to. But that is one of the examples. This one I thought was fun. On the same phone call, Evelyn connected well by discussing a horse named Aisha, too. So she's really funny. She found some connection. She said, I have a horse named with the same name you have. But could have expanded by learning more about Aisha's hobbies and favorite activities. So, you can review this every day. You can review it on a weekly basis. If you are leading agents, you can sit down with them. And I'm telling you guys, it saves so much time. I used to listen to lots of calls. And then you have to type down, what do they say, what are the coaching on each call? This aggregates all the data, and you can get individual without listening to a 10-minute phone call and just get some coaching notes on it.
Time saver, right? These products, I would tell you, one of the things I like best about them in helping teams stay very profitable is cuts down on the salaries a lot. These tools can keep your sales manager, like filling out a spreadsheet versus using Maverick, right? It's night and day on what the salary cost would be to get that information, or the same thing here, right? Hiring a sales trainer or sales manager, or giving them the tool and say, hey, get back to me once you're at 8s, versus a trainer have to come in week after week after week. So this is why I love these tools, because I'm always focused on the bottom line, which is interesting about the industry, as you probably know. Everyone's focused on units, GCI, and volume, which I don't give a crap about. I want to know how much money we take home every month, and this is one of the tools that does that for me.
That's right. That's awesome. All right, so the next stage is appointments held. So we obsess over appointments held. This is one of the things that we've done better on at times, worse at times. There is an appointments report in Maverick, and what happens is an appointment goes out, an agent goes on the appointment, shows a house, and then an hour after that appointment, they get a little text message. And in the text message, it says, did you meet this person? Press 1, yes, 2, no, 3, rescheduled. They respond, it updates Follow-Up Boss. So you're getting clean data here versus, I'm telling you, I used to have to did you meet? How did it go? What's going on? Sales manager did that. Then it asks the question, what stage should they be in a Follow-Up Boss? Right from their text message, hit the number, updates the stage. Third text message is a note that updates Follow-Up Boss on what happened. So Melissa over here loves this tool because it saves them. They still have to call the agent some. Hey, you didn't respond to the text. But it gives us great data. And I think Gabe mentioned earlier, one of the things you look at is like how many of these didn't show up. And are we focusing on those? Or are we just focusing on the low-hanging fruit?
Now, let me talk about that. This is important to me because as we were talking earlier, you want to plug the holes as high in the funnel as possible. And I've noticed this one in particular was a big hole on a lot of the agents and teams I was working with. They would set an appointment, if you want to use this as a benchmark of some sort. Every 10 calls, they would set an appointment in my schedule. That's pretty universal across all of North America. Then I noticed a difference. Appointment set to appointment met with my agents that were better, 90%. I see a lot of other agents who were closer to 50%. So I'm curious, why the hell is that? 2 reasons. Number 1 is they're not building rapport on the call. Or number 2, they're not eliciting any value besides unlocking a door potentially on there. So we always coach to, when you're going to meet with a client, to create either a voicemail or if you're talking to them directly, Give them information that's ambiguous and creates massive curiosity. If I'm talking to a buyer, you know what they want to know? What homes they don't know about. So I let them know I know about a couple homes, and I can't wait to share that information with them when I meet them at the house that they want to see. They will show up, if they're a real buyer, every single time to that appointment. If you want to steal that, that will help increase that rate really high.
Yeah, that's such a great trick. There's so many little things. So one of the advantages of looking at a lot of different people I've found is that I've just tried to become an extractor of greatness, an extractor of knowledge and wisdom. So we were struggling on appointments at one point, and I noticed one of our agents was meeting like 88% of every appointment she set, which that's really good, right? We were averaging like 50. And so I sat her down, I said, what are you doing? And she's like, well, nothing special. I was like, no, you're doing something different. So she broke it down, and we made a policy out of it. So what we do is we video text the person when they say yes to an appointment, and then after that, they have to make 2 more reach outs with value based on curiosity, like you were saying. And the goal, this is what I tell you, the goal is to make people feel so guilty if they think about ghosting you. Or how many of you guys would prefer not to show up at a house and they're not there, or that it's just frustrating? It's like popping your bubble. Okay, thank you, Danny. You got one person in here that does not like that.
Let me give you the voicemail, because I just realized too, when I first started coaching, my connection rates were about 20%. Right? We call 100 people, 20 of them would pick up the phone. On average, on my schedule now, it's closer to 5%. So we're leaving a lot more voicemails. So same thing with a voicemail. If you're leaving a voicemail, the intention is you hope the other human's going to call you back. If you're leaving a voicemail, hey, I'm Mike the realtor, and I want to sell you a house, give me a call, you're never going to get a call back. But when I leave a voicemail, and what I coach to is I create, again, this curiosity with some energy and excitement. Hey, Daniel, it's Mike. Give me a call as soon as you can. Click. Just the curiosity alone will get me a return call most of the time without giving any information.
So good.
This is how I get them to call me back.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, most people aren't listening to voicemails. Somebody mentioned it earlier. They said, you're probably not going to listen to this whole voicemail, so I'm just going to video text, but that's so good. Brief and create curiosity. I love that. Why do we obsess over the first appointment? It's been said a couple times that 71% of home buyers work with the first agent they meet. The life of an internet lead, I tell our agents, is like a fruit fly. You cannot let gaps of time go in between that. So that first appointment, you need to obsess over. I'm not talking about subsequent showings, something like that. That first appointment needs to be understood in your funnel and how you're capitalizing on that. Okay, then we're kind of getting close to the end, so I want to get to our finish. This is the Pro Dispatch tool. I'll just note real quick here, this distributes leads. So real quick point here, we average 9.4% conversion from appointment set, 9.4% from set. And here are just some of the top agents. Taylor Tugwell, she is in here. She's converting 15.84%. That's pretty awesome, yes. And she along with all these other people, my goal is to get more opportunities in the hands of somebody who's more efficient. We used to celebrate overall sales. I'm telling you, that's not the thing to celebrate. Efficiency. If we're talking about profitability, who does the most with the amount that they're given, right? And so we track that. The leads are handed and given to the agents who have the best chances of converting them through the Pro Dispatch tool. So if you're a solo agent, you need to analyze, what is your conversion rate from there. So, all right, so this is the what happens. So we're going to close it out here. We got about a minute left. What happens if we can move these tiny little things? So hopefully from this, it will inspire you that you don't have to do big things in your business to increase your profits. And this is, again, from one lead source over a 2-year period, just to give some context. So what happens if we improve the appointment set rate from 7.2 to 8.4? It's $107,000 more without spending any more money, right? So many times we feel like I have to spend more money, I have to hire staff.
You need to get better. You don't need to buy more or do more.
Yeah.
An example was I coached a team, 700 leads per month, right? We did the math just by, that's similar to Daniel, we moved the conversion up a half a point. A half a point, not that bad, right? We would net, what was it? 1.5 million more. The team leader's on a 50-50 split with his agents. $750,000 more money just by learning how to convert these leads just a little bit better.
0.5%.
That's where you need to focus, not more, deeper, better.
Next one, what happens if we can improve the appointment held rate? We're currently in this funnel, 58% to 66. Picked a number here, 93,000. And this is company dollar. This is after splits. Another $93,000 to the company dollar. And then what happens if we can improve the under contract rate? from 23% to 27%. Now, this is of the held appointments. So the ones that you meet, we're putting 23% under contract. If I can just get that to 27, if I can just train the agents a little bit better, $127,000 more money to the company.
I'll give you a data point there. So having data, a lot of data over a lot of years, in my schedule, a decent agent is at 3 to 1. For every 3 people they meet, they're writing a contract on there. So for the teams that I coach, we kind of notify there's a skill problem. We're giving them leads, and they need 5 or 6 to get their one deal. We know we need to pause them because skills, otherwise we're burning too much money on leads again.
Yep.
That's a good way to coach and check your agent's skill level. How many buyers do they have to meet to get a deal together?
Yep. Yeah, we found the same number. About 1 out of every 3 to 4 people in your low funnel, you're going to close in 6 months. So you can't count on all those 3 or 4, count on one of them. What if we can do all 3? If we can do all 3 of these things, we can improve the conversion rate by 0.5% and put almost $400,000 more in our pockets from one lead source. So hopefully that inspires you guys to analyze your data, understand your funnel. I don't care, solo agent, small team, big team, what does your funnel look like in each one of those areas? Try to move it by 0.5%, see how it changes your business. And then, Mike, you ready?
Yeah, so I was nervous to put this up, but my purpose in life is simply to improve the quality of other people's lives, not to sell products or anything like that. So if there's a question or you have a direct little challenge there and I could help you, feel free to reach out. There'll be a little form on there. I'd be happy to hop on a quick call and help you get to the next level if you're stuck somewhere. Last 2 years, it's like someone asked me, is there anything you don't know? And I had to think for a second. In the last 2 years, I've not been asked a question by an agent, team, or a brokerage that I couldn't answer very effectively in a really short period of time, just based on all the experience I have in this space. So if I could help you with something, feel free to reach out, and I'll be happy to answer a question and get you unstuck.
Mike is really smart. Like, he's literally offering you like free, coaching here. And he was like debating on it. He's like, I don't know if I have time. But he's a generous guy.
It's gratitude to Howard, G, Barry, right, and Kiwi, right? Give me an opportunity to share a little bit, help you guys go. So now I want to pay it back. So that's how I'm going to pay it back.
Yeah.
I'm going to help you guys a little bit more if you want it. I'm not
that's worth the
here to do
conference
any
right
more
there.
than that, but if I could help, great.
Awesome. Yeah, that's it. Thank you guys.